Welcome to Pay-to-Play Impressions for Settlers 4. This is the gold edition. It's also a history edition of the game. It's a PC exclusive, and basically this game is a kingdom management game.
The magic of this
With a certain RTS elements in it, but because they kind of combined more of RTS and a bit of a certain amount of kingdom management, the result is that both elements are very simplified. So here we are, we're going to start off a bit and just going to build up our economy. Well, kind of standard for any RTS you ever played, right? So just going to quickly do a few things here for, like I said, for main purposes to manage the economy. Visually, as you can see, the game is trying to run at 60 frames per second. It's trying. It's not exactly accomplishing that, but again, that's not really something that I'm gonna go after the game here for, because this is a real-time strategy game. It really does not need to have 60 frames per second. Alright, I think, and I also gonna need this building here. And this guy. This one here. Alright, so also from visual perspective, the color saturation, well, it's a bit too much. It's kind of, when you start off at first playing, it really just hurts your eyes. Now what I'm going to do is, there you go. So I'm going to activate the cheat. Why? Because that makes the game actual speed, well, workable. Otherwise, we're gonna get stuck at a very slow speed. And that's not, this is the speed the game usually is at. That's just horrible. Okay, so what do you do in this game? Well, you build up the economy as I'm doing right now, and then you fight the enemies. Which in this case, on this scenario, it would be Aztecs, which I'm gonna be fighting. The game also has a tutorial which will teach you the aspects of the game, but there's a bit of a problem there, is the fact that the text of the tutorial is this size. So it's very small, right? Not very convenient. And as a result, let's get this guy here. It's a bit too good of a unit to use for purposes of just standing around, sitting in those towers. So as a result, it's kind of hard to read, and also the tutorial will tell you that there's an F12 button, which allows you to skip 1 minute in game time. The computer will calculate what should have happened that minute and skip forward. It's kind of a way to speed up the game, right, rather than to using the cheat. The problem is that it's actually not a F12 key, it's F9. It's been changed in the history edition, but nobody bothered to change that in the tutorial. So again, a bit of a problem, not too much, but that's something that I have it. The major theme, of course, of this game is building up the economy, and so here we started off, like I said, and let's actually jump into a more advanced economy situation, so that I can show you how does build up economy would look like. And let's go here. So again, I'm going to enter the cheat code for speed purposes, and here it is. We have a more advanced economy. Here we have production of wood. So the economy in Settlers is not just as simple as, well, I need to build a building, so I need wood or stone. Yeah, you need wood and stone, and well, stone will be produced here, let's say, just in normal fashion. They'll just quarry it in blocks and carry it to whatever location you want to build buildings at. With wood, it's a bit more complicated. You cut down the trees, then you turn them into planks, and then you can only use them for construction, right? We also have here the farms producing food, which not directly producing food. It first has to be turned from grain into flour, then into bread, which is used to feed the miners that produce the ore. There's also miners, some miners like fish, some miners like meat. So we have here sheep here that we're using for these purposes, and again we have need of here of grain to feed the sheep. There's a need for water to give to the sheep and to use in baking, and so on and so on and so on. So as you can see, the economy gets more complicated, right? It's not just getting iron ore. You have to make it into iron, then you can turn it into different type of tools you have here, or you can turn it into weapons. So you do build an economy where you have the original resources, then intermediary products, and then the final products, which is kind of interesting. It's actually a pretty good idea, right? So once you have everything that like this working, though, you don't really need to go and look at the economy that much. It all goes up by itself. Here we have actually a situation where we also growing grapes. The wine produced is the result that the priests use to turn into something called mana. Mana is what the priests use to create spells. So there you go. Now there's minor issue here with regards to the visual aspect of the game. I wonder if I can just demonstrate it very quickly right now. Yes, actually I can. See, I have a geologist. There's one geologist that I have, and can anybody locate them? Can you really see the geologist? Like, I cannot really select any of my worker units. Like, as you can see, they all do this automatically. Once you assign them to the job and you tell them, let's say, here for the forest production, not forest production, for forest cutting, right? I assign them to this area, say, you cut down trees in this area, right? And this person will do so. And then another one will come by and carry the cut down trees to the mill. That will turn them into planks, and another one will come by and carry them over to construction site, and so on and so on and so on. So everything goes automatically. But certain special units such as geologists have to be manually controlled. But can you actually find one? Well, you can try selecting, right? Like I said, like, well, we can, because you can't select special units. But if I, let's say, if I select really broadly because I don't know where they are, well, see, military units and the priests get preference over workers. So I need to make sure I'm not selecting any military units. So searching for geologists is pretty hard. And actually, I thought this guy was a geologist, and it turns out that he's not. I don't know where the geologist is. Actually, maybe he is a geologist. Yes, he is. So, but as you can see, you know, he looks a lot like this guy, doesn't he? How can you tell them apart? That's a bit of a problem. Alright, so what else? Well, let's talk about combat. I'm going to jump out of here and we're going to jump into another save that I have of this game. And let's do this here. Here we have it's already combat starting, so I'm just gonna speed it up so that we can watch it. Here it is. Here the combat. Here's enemy attacking. Our guys are defending. It's going to be also show us a bit of what the different priests can do. You can see they can use certain spells that attack and can destroy our buildings. So priests themselves are pretty powerful units that can, especially when the smaller armies will decide the outcome of the battles. So using them as I think is what the strategy element in this game is, because it's not really anything else besides when it comes to units. We have pretty much when it comes to military units, besides the priest, there's only 3 other military units. So guy with a sword, the guy with a bow, and there's a healer. This is kind of unique unit to the Romans. When you fight the Aztecs, they have a different one. The Vikings have a different one. The Dark Races will have their own, and so on. But generally, that's all there is. Now, these other guys here are just a variation of the same units. They just armed less. So this is a top unit. And I can select and request as many of them as I like. Same way I can also do so for weapon production. I can select how many weapons I want to produce, or what kind of ratio. Or when it comes to tools, same story. I can request certain tools to be produced, right? So besides, this is one of the aspects where you have direct management. Otherwise, there's a lot of indirect management in this game. So, like I said, priests are this way important, but in the end I found that if you just make a big enough army and just send over to the enemy, they'll plow over the enemy. The mix of the units doesn't really matter, as long as you have enough of guys who have swords, that's sufficient enough. And here we have another guys attacking. So, overall, what do I think of this game? Well, it's a good game, and the only reason I'm ranking this high is because I have this cheat that makes the game playable. If I was like running at this speed, well, I wouldn't really say it's a good game because this is painfully slow, right? I like the economic management of the game. I like the fact that you have this, the input resources, intermediate products, the final products. That kind of I like this the deep management of deep layers of the economy. But in the end, if I want to play a Settlers game with economic management like this, I would just go for Settlers 2 10th Anniversary Edition. I think the economy management there is much better, and when it comes to looking at it, and I also enjoyed that game way more. What I didn't mention right now in this game is actually that there's also something called the dark races, and they have slightly additional aspect that need to be considered. They need to turn the territories they are based in from green to black, and for that they use special units. And same thing, you also have special units to turn the dark territory into green territory. So that's another one. So in the end, though, each the story-wise is something that was not that deep enough for me to get me interested enough to kind of play the game. That's why it's a pay-to-play impressions, and the challenges of the scenarios were not interesting enough either for me, right? So from that aspect, that's why I decided not to do a report on it or not to play it any further. There's a bit of a story that kind of ties the scenarios in the campaign, but they're really there just to add a bit of flavor, not exactly really something that have a deeper story. Maybe the Dark Races campaign has a deeper story because there's cinematic for it, but otherwise I didn't see it. So in the end, like I said, it's a good game, but if I want to play a Settlers game right now, I would settle for Settlers 2 10th Anniversary Edition. Is this a cool game? Well, yes, you do have spells here, but they don't really look visually impressive enough for me to say they're cool. So therefore, I cannot really say that it's a cool game. It's an uncool game, but it's a good game. Well, thank you for watching and for listening. If you like this video, please like it. If you didn't like it, don't like it, and please subscribe and follow.